I'm gonna start with Bitcoin against USD, of course, right? We have had we have had a little bit of a consolidation period right here that has gone basically for the past 2 months. Right now, as we can see in the daily chart, the Bollinger Band seems to be squeezing, telling you that volatility is about to, may come back really soon. But for me right now, the main price points to look at, right, in order to, determine whether this thing is gonna go down or gonna go up, right? Right now is basically sits between 31,000 and 29,600, right? That's on the lower side, right? Where we have basically the lower Bollinger Band as well as this Fibonacci retracement point right here, right? From this low, actually should be all the way here. Yeah, so it's basically 31,000 to 28,700. So basically from the lower Bollinger Band all the way down to the low of June 22nd, which was, 28,750 basically, right? And then to the upside, I'm looking at this potential level right here, right? Which goes from the 50 day moving average at 35,600 to the 78.6 Fibonacci retracement level at 36,500. So a break of either this, you know, basically supply barrier right here, or this kind of like demand barrier underneath, which kind of like tell me where Bitcoin is gonna go. On the upside, of course, always being bullish. If we break and close above $36,500, I expect that we're gonna probably rise to 39,500, and then we're probably gonna test this death cross that is forming between the 200-day and the 100-day moving average, right? I believe that we could come test this death cross and then potentially continue to go lower. But eventually, of course, a daily close below 28,750, I believe that will go lower, open that daily close below that price point, right? I am targeting first $24,300, and if that level right there fails to hold, which is basically where the breakout line of the discussion indicator sits, then we're potentially going all the way down to $19,000. I mean, we could potentially make this basically a demand zone right here between $19,000 and 20,000, right? But yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing for Bitcoin. I mean, I'm neutral on Bitcoin until we get a close above 36,500 or a close below 28,750. Until that happens, I don't see why I should be touching, or trading Bitcoin, because I mean it's just a wrecked fest right here. But yeah, that's basically what I'm seeing, guys. I don't know if you guys wanna have any comments on this.
Ali, I'm curious,
Maybe.
have you seen any stats on, you talked about the 100-day crossing the 200-day. Have you seen stats on post performance of that on any instrument?
Uh, Basically on Bitcoin. On Bitcoin is where I have evaluated the most this death cross right here. And basically every single time within the past, I don't know, I mean, Bitcoin was basically created 2009, it started trading on 2010, but yeah, even within the first bull run, I mean, what we usually get, right, is that, I mean, over the past bull runs, we usually get either a test of any of the death cross that are actually happening, right? So maybe a test of the 100 with the 50, a test of the 200 with the 50, or a test of the 100 with the 200, right? So far, we haven't had a test of the death cross, right? And within the past years, we usually have one or two of those, right? Whenever we don't have one of the two, then the other one comes into fruition, right? So I believe that something similar to what happened within the past few years, right, is going to happen now, where now we're finally going to test one of the death cross that is actually happening. So that's basically what I have evaluated with Bitcoin specifically. But for for other assets, you know, within the stock market, commodities, or anything like that, I actually haven't tested this death cross between the 100 and the 200 of
Interesting.
that
No, I've
associated
never
portion.
no, I've never looked at interesting. I've never looked at the 100 crossing the 200. Interesting point.
Yeah, yeah. Like there was like this guy. His name used to be. His name was Tyler Jenks actually. He called this kind of like three death crosses, something around like consensus or something like that, where he was evaluating kind of like these three death crosses between different assets. I haven't done that. I've only done it on Bitcoin, but based on his findings, it was like really accurate. But I cannot tell that much about it since I haven't really evaluated it on other different assets. But
Interesting.
yeah, it's definitely something to pay attention to. But of course, right? I mean, this cannot come if we don't finally close above 36,000, 500. I'm not seeing any buy signals yet. So yeah, I mean, we just have to wait and see. But yeah, do you, Sheldon, want to continue? Maybe you want to share also your long-term perspective on Bitcoin.
Sure.
Okay, you can go ahead and share your screen.
You can see it now?
That is right.
Okay. I just want to start out actually with something to consider when we look at Bitcoin here, is looking at sort of the stages of emotions through moves. Now, some have argued that we've had the euphoria stage. I'm not sure if we did, but if we look at it in the context, use this as our benchmark, you could argue that we've seen this process of complacency. We've had the first down move, we've rebounded complacently, and now we're moving down into what the stage would be is anxiety, which is characterized by price congestion related to this low of the initial decline. Now, when you turn to Bitcoin itself on a daily basis, you can kind of see how that's taken place in terms of the decline. We had the follow-up, the congestion, and now we're moving down into what would be an area of anxiety. I think critical to this, we had the breakdown of the rising wedge yesterday, which was pretty convincing move. It was on higher volume, although below average. And we had the 50-day pressing down, 50-day moving average pressing down in here. Really, the support comes together at the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern that we've talked about frequently. The neckline now coincides with the 50-week simple moving average. It's almost spot on. So there's formidable support around 31,500 in that area that we really need to pay attention to should weakness accelerate today, or particularly today moving forward. There's really not much more to say in terms of what it might do in the short term. If we do close below the neckline and the 50-week simple moving average, then we can start entertaining the idea of testing the measured move, which is about 27% of this rising wedge, which would take us down to about 24,900 before we mark an important low. And on the upside, really, we need a close above the upper trend line, the rising wedge, which also coincides at this moment with the anchored VWAP, which comes in at 37,700. So close above there projects us to test this area of resistance that I've discussed, or we have discussed on several occasions, up here around 42,500, just below the 200-day simple moving average. So for now, I think Bitcoin, if it pulls back into here and you're a trader, you're probably using this as a risk level around 30,500, 30,000, and use this as a stop down here. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be touching Bitcoin at this point. I think it needs to prove itself.
Yeah, indeed. It seems like we're all, I mean, you and I were looking at kind of like the same, right? It's just a neutral territory where, anybody who decides to get in right now in a short or in a long position might get wrecked. So rather just wait for the asset to tell you where it's going next. before you know you get in there. But this
Oh,
in crypto they call this the psychological market cycle. But it's really interesting to see because like that euphoria level, I think the Coinbase IPO, which was on was it April 14th, which coincides with the Bitcoin top. That was the euphoria right there. Yeah, exactly. Coincides with the on April 14th was the Coinbase IPO, which marked the Bitcoin's all-time high, right? So there were a lot of emotions going around that IPO, and I think that point right there could have marked the top. And now, indeed, we're bound for lower lows. The thing right now is that, of course, right. In previous cycles, we usually have a rebound, which can be thought of a bull trap before lower lows, and that's what it seems like we're all have been waiting for, right? For a jump to $43,000. But is it gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? We just need to wait. But I wouldn't be touching this because at the end of the day, like maybe the rebound comes and maybe that gives you a short opportunity, but why should you risk it? I don't know. That's my take on it.
I mean, the risk
But
reward right now is not very high, I think. If it pulls back into the
yeah.
$30,000 range, then you could trade against that, and your reward would be upwards to 35,000-ish. So there you have a double-digit return. But at this point, I just don't see that being an attractive situation.
I agree. I don't know if you, Cash, are you seeing anything different from a lower time frame?
Yeah, I'm extremely bullish on Bitcoin.
Oh
Sheldon, I'm going to
shit.
share my screen.
Okay. So we have an outlier in here. That's good.
Right. So my whole thesis is like based on price action trading or whatever you want to call it. So when Bitcoin usually drops a lot, or any asset for that matter, it instantly rebounds, tries to touch the 50 fib and then consolidates. Right. And right now I'm considering this particular range, which is from 42 to 28,785. And so far we've never once tagged the range high, which is 42,000, but we've repeatedly set new lows. So my thesis is based on this fact that we are going to attempt at least one retest of the higher high before we decide where we're going to go. It could be higher, it could be lower, I'm not sure. But for now, this is what I'm expecting: a dip into this demand zone and then a move higher. And these are the levels that I'm looking at. And I probably will compound above here, but I'm also going to be taking some profits off these levels here, here, and here. Right. So this is what I'm looking at. And if we
Interesting.
see an exponential move, like something like this with a lot smaller retracement, move higher. If I see something like that over here, I would definitely be looking for a retest of this, uh, the midpoint of this down move, which comes up around 44,152.
Okay. So basically, what you're looking at is basically, I mean, it seems like that brief retracement could have already happened right into the demand zone that you have right there, right? Between what is that, Akash? 30,000 and what? Yeah, basically.
30,573, almost 32.
Okay. So between 30,000 and 32, and then you kind of like have this thing going up to 42K, hopefully, but of course, like taking profits along the way, right?
Yeah. So one unfortunate thing that I could see it happen here is uh, we could probably FOMO panic and then go down here, and then probably this is an extreme case, right? So we could
Mhm.
dip here and then like proceed this. This would be the max pain scenario, and the reason why I think this is going to happen is because of this, right? The global in and out of money shows that the current support that we are sitting on right now is very less compared to the other supports. So an interesting thing here is that investors in this particular bubble have started purchasing Bitcoin from 28,734, which is around the same level as this, right? So it's like $300 below this level. So
Yeah,
we could
around
probably
the
dip into,
June 22 low, right?
sorry, which one?
Yeah, the June 22nd low, right?
No, this is the lowest low out of them all.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, my bad.
The June,
So
yeah.
I am expecting it to break this low, go a little deeper. How deep? Just 1 second. So the investors here bought from 10,336, 363, 28,734, right? And this is around the same level, right? So we could probably dip here, which was 28,734. Yeah, it's actually not a lot
Yeah,
when you look at it.
it's not that lower,
So
but I know what you mean. Basically, with all of those stop losses that are right there, and then get everybody excited about lower lows. I mean, the bears
yeah,
basically, and then basically shoot up.
perfect. That's what I'm looking at. Like from a, if I'm being really bearish, this is what I see.
So another
I see.
shakeout of the weak holders and then back up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm going to be extra confident once we move above this 50 zone, right? Because we've had multiple attempts over the past few days, few weeks even, and we haven't been
Yeah,
successful.
that's around 35,500 has been an interesting level for a long
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, going back to my thesis is that we haven't tested the range low even once. So
I agree. I agree with you, Akash, in the sense that basically the main take that this tells us is that the consolidation period may extend, right, for a little bit longer until we finally have a potential breakout or a potential breakdown, right? With the analysis that I was like doing last week with you guys, or I believe it was on Tuesday, I was kind of like evaluating that, right? How long will it take until Bitcoin finally breaks below support, or basically just decides to make a move? And kind of like the range that I have for a potential breakdown is between October, like mid or late October, and December, right? So that means that this kind of like a slow pain period is gonna extend for a little while, and that'll be perfect, to have like a potential rebound to all the way up to 44,000 or even 49,000, 50,000 to get people really excited about, oh yeah, we're going higher, and then basically just crash.
yeah, that seems completely plausible. Right. Another
Well,
thing here, go on, Sheldon.
Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say that, Ali, that's consistent with what we looked at. I think it was last week when we looked at the quarterly loss. We went back to 2018 where we had a 50% decline in the first quarter of 2018. Then we moved sideways basically for 2 quarters. And then, well, we did have some, obviously there was a range there, but not notable. And then we fell again another 40% and then did nothing. So, we had a 40% decline this past in the second quarter. So it's entirely possible that we do nothing with maybe just a couple spurts higher that are sold for all of the summer.
Indeed. Like this basically what, like 40,000 to 30,000 range, this $10,000 range. It's gonna be painful for many. Many people are like gonna be excited one day that, oh, Bitcoin is like pumping on a Monday or on a Sunday, right? And then they're gonna be a little bit disappointed by the end of the week, and it's just gonna probably continue until finally capitulation comes. That's basically what I'm foreseeing, because right now I know the fundamentals behind it, right? Again, we talk about once again about Salvador and all of these countries that are moving forward, right? I know that the fundamentals in there are basically supporting the thesis that Bitcoin is going to go to $150,000 to $200,000 to $1 million. Yeah, the fundamentals are there, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. You know, I mean, we need some time to get there. And right now, we have basically, you know, I believe that we reached that maximum point of excitement, and right now it's time for a deep correction, right? To basically flush out all of those weekends and all of those people that got late to the party, and then start going up again.
Yeah.
Well, it's like like you say, you know, lots of, you know, having a great fundamental story is all good and everything, but at the end of the day, price pays. So
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, from a technical perspective, everything, at least to me, is telling me and also from a long-term perspective, that we're gonna go lower. The fundamentals, of course, get me a little bit excited, but I rely on the technicals to trade, you know.
On that
Go
particular
ahead.
point, right? I do want to say that July month is kind of very stale. If you look at the 10-year, probably almost a 10-year history, if you look at it, it has an average return of approximately 8%, if I'm not wrong, and I don't think I'm wrong. So we will kind of see the continuation of this range. So that means we're probably not going to breach 42 and maybe even not even tag 45, 44, 45. But I think this range is going to continue. Probably increase the range a few $1,000 above and below, but I think it's going to continue based on the historical monthly returns for July.
Yep, I think that's the overall take on Bitcoin. Basically,
Yep.
you know, more pain between in this $10,000 range. It's going to continue for a little while until we finally get a breakout or a breakdown, but more consolidation will come. But anyway,